Live from New York City, it's the Gary Null Show. And now, your host, Gary Null.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Null. Always nice to be able to share positive input about how we can live a longer and healthier life. We know we should be eating our vegetables, but we don't. Those who do are doing very well. You can see the organic stands at the farmers markets. They're always very popular and generally sell out. One in New York in particular, over by the Museum of Natural History on Columbus Avenue, they're open on Sundays, and they have one stand there that has the largest selection of microgreens and sprouts that I've ever seen, probably around 50 or 60 different varieties. They're expensive. It's a good home-based business for anyone who wants to do that. But what's important is you're getting things that are fresh, that are vital, that are filled with phytonutrients and the different antioxidants. So you should try going to farmers markets, support your local farmers. A University of California Davis study shows that when you're eating your green vegetables, it boosts the efficacy of the omega-3 fatty acids. So pairing omega-3 fatty acids with a diet rich in dark green vegetables can boost your omega-3 levels in the red blood cells. And that's very important. That's all new information. And that was done at the USDA Agriculture Research Service with the University of California. So it's very simple. Whenever you're having a nice big salad or a juice made from those dark green vegetables, and you're taking, let's say, 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of the omega-3 fatty acids, you're going to have more of that utilized. See, there are four basic principles, actually five. One is mastication. Whenever you're eating anything, really take your time and chew it so that it's masticated. Remember your grandparents or your mother used to say, chew your food, however many times in a given family, 10 times before you swallow. And people who are slow eaters generally chew their food, and it goes into what is called bolus, and that isn't salivated. That's already allowing enzymes like catalase and amylase to start breaking down the nutrients. Then it goes into the stomach. Then hydrochloric acid and a whole series of different enzymes go in there and break it down even further. So by the time your food leaves your stomach, it should be similar to a thick soup, but without any of the big chunks in it. All right? And that makes it much more likely you're going to absorb all the good nutrients in there. So you have digestion, you have absorption, you have utilization, and that's the key. How much of a given nutrient is your cell actually utilizing? And then you have elimination. So if you're doing it right, when you eat a meal, you're passing a meal. And that means your intestine is kept clean and healthy and less congestion, because the more congestion in your colon, your intestine, your ascending, descending, transverse intestines, the more likely you are to end up with inflammation, which can lead to polyps, which can lead to cancer, which can lead to colorectal cancer. Just saying, take your time. Don't rush. Be at peace, at ease. The idea that you should call in food, eat it at your desk while you're still working or on the phone and you're trying to choose something in between, that's not good. So that gives you the omega-3 fatty acids, that gets into the red blood cells, that helps reduce your triglycerides and very low density lipoproteins. That means that your blood is less likely to clot. It means you're going to have a healthier gut microflora, good bacteria in your gut. All of this is because the green vegetables have plant fibers and what are called polyphenolics that are known to influence the composition of the microbes in your gut, the bacteria. And some bacteria strains can influence how we metabolize lipids. Lipids are the fats. So when you take them together, when you take your vegetables, green vegetables, and your omega-3 fatty acids together, you're getting the best of both. Healthier heart, healthier gut, healthier immune system, sweeping the debris out of the intestine. Remember, in your intestines, you have, among other things, three primary influences. You have dead cells that have sloughed off. You have bacteria. And depending upon your diet, you'll either have good bacteria or bad bacteria. When you start eating meat and sugar and refined carbohydrates, it'll change the consistency of the matter that's moving through there. It becomes very rancid. And so quite simply, you're becoming toxic, and it's called autotoxemia in the gut. So you want clean bacteria, healthy diet, healthy microbiome. All right? Something simple. From the University of Sydney, 1-minute bursts of activity during your daily tasks can prolong your life. That's good news. For those who don't like playing sports or going to the gym, new research finds that just 3 to 4 1-minute bursts of huffing and puffing, doing something, do some push-ups, some sit-ups, walk fast, only for a minute. And that will cause a large reduction in the risk of premature death from cardiovascular disease. This was published in Nature Medicine in the University of Sydney. So again, not everyone is going to be able to exercise as they should. Not everybody wants to exercise as they should, but you should. So even short bouts of vigorous activity, 1 to 2 minutes, will be important throughout the day. Do it throughout the day, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Even after you've had a meal, go out and walk briskly. First of all, for all you who are pre-diabetic and diabetic, that lowers the blood sugar because now your muscles need glycogen, the stored sugar, and glucose, the available sugar from the food you've eaten. So what happens is that when you go for a brisk walk for about 20 minutes after a meal, your blood sugar stays really normal. And that's one way to help the diabetics. You should not eat a meal and go and lie down. You should get up and exercise. Simple, all right? In fact, researchers found that just 3 to 4 1-minute bouts of intense exercise is associated with up to a 40% reduction in all causes of cancer-related death and a 49% reduction in death related to cardiovascular disease. How about that? Increasing your lifespan by just doing 2-minute intense exercises throughout the day. Doesn't take any special skills, no club memberships, no buying all kinds of outfits. No. Fast walking. All right? Doing simple exercises. So that's good. And another study, and this one again is, all these are important. All these are published in PubMed. This is from the University of Miami. They found that coenzyme Q10 can program cancer cells to self-destruct and die. It's been 60 years since the discovery of coenzyme Q10. It's not a vitamin, it's vitamin-like. And it was identified by Nobel Prize-winning scientist Frederick Crane. And currently it's used to treat heart disease or prevent it because it provides a heart with energy. And coenzyme Q10 may even be more beneficial in other ways, for example, with cancer patients. A promising study shows that coenzyme Q10 can cause cancer cells to self-destruct before they can multiply, giving rise to hope that it can be utilized as an important integrative therapy for cancer patients. Researchers found that Q10 is vital in producing adenosine triphosphate. That's ATP, that's the energy molecule in your body. In addition, it's a potent antioxidant that boosts immune health and energy. And coenzyme Q10 may have an even more important function to perform. Researchers report that the out-of-control replication characteristic of cancer cells is a result of the cells losing capacity to respond to programmed cell death, or apoptosis. To conduct this study, University of Miami added Q10 to prostate cancer cells and found a 70%, I repeat, 70% inhibition in growth over 48 hours, along with a reversal in the anti-apoptotic protein BCI2. And it also works on breast cancer cells, inhibits their proliferation without harming healthy cells. The team noted that treating a culture of melanoma cells with coenzyme Q10 resulted in the death of all 100% of the cancer cells within hours, and that applying coenzyme Q10 topically to mice with melanoma tumors caused a 55% reduction in tumor mass. There's also a profound disruption of tumor vascular structure of the veins needed for tumors to get their oxygen and nutrition. So it starves the cancer. Who knew? This is all brand new research. And that's what we like to do. I like to every single day share information with you that you haven't heard before and haven't seen, because this is in the literature, but it doesn't mean that it's being picked up by the media. Why, I don't know. But here we are, the health media. Also, new research links common sweetener with anxiety. This is also from Florida State University. What they found was this. You've heard me talk since it was invented, aspartame. It's an artificial sweetener found in nearly 5,000 diet foods and drinks. Well, now they've associated it with anxiety-like behavior in mice. Along with producing anxiety in the mice who consumed aspartame, the effects extended to 2 generations from the males exposed to the sweetener. This is published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. Quote, what this study is showing is we need to look back at the environmental factors, because what we see today is not only what's happening today, but what happened 2 generations ago and maybe even longer. So we were right back then to say, don't use saccharin, don't use cyclamates, don't use any artificial sweeteners except stevia, but it's not artificial. It comes from a natural herb. And just a drop, a single drop into a glass of lemonade or iced tea or any beverage sweetens it up. It's 500 times sweeter than sugar and no calories. Oh, and by the way, from Laval University in Quebec, adding yoga to your regular exercise improves your cardiovascular health and well-being. This was a 3-month study, and it appeared in the Canadian Journal of Cardiology, and it demonstrates that adding yoga to a regular exercise training program improves and supports cardiovascular health and well-being, and is more effective than stretching exercises. So, something else. And every single day, you're going to get new information. But also, all this information is published and sent to you automatically on your computer. It gives you all the notes. It gives you the details. Because I realize, look, even in a lecture, a 2-hour lecture, my hope is that people leave with 6 points of reference. And that's because imagine watching a movie like The Maltese Falcon, Singing in the Rain, Dr. Zhivago, Lawrence of Arabia, all back to back to back. You're not going to remember much of anything. So, in point of fact, now, at virtually all of the work that I do with people individually in clinical practice, but also what I do with groups, is I'll give them a book as a gift. And in fact, my new book, which is a sequel to Living in the Moment, Prescription for the Soul, which is out of print, and I've given over 5,000 copies away in this counseling process, but it really works. And this would be true for any book that you're going to read. Do it in sections, 15 minutes. That's it. Read something, And the final study today comes from the Zhushu Medical University in China. It shows that when they looked at a meta-analysis, that's many different studies, they found a very strong association between calcium and improved serum lipids. That means all of the fats in the body, the cholesterol, and the high-density cholesterol, the good cholesterol. So that's important. All right, calcium helps your lipids in the body. And then finally today, something that may help you. And I found this about 10 years ago. I used to give very long lectures, sometimes 2 to 3 hours. How many people in the audience? I'd like to hear from you. Call me at 888-874-4888 if you remember this. I was doing 1 to 2 lectures a day, 6 days a week. I'd do one right after my radio show at about 2 in the afternoon. I'd do one early in the evening at 6 o'clock. That way I could do an hour lecture, come back and do all my evening work, including counseling or socializing and being at the Tri-State Healing Center, counseling patients. But it was a packed day. But when I didn't have to rush, my lectures sometimes go 2 to 3 hours. And I did a lecture over New Jersey. I wasn't even paying attention. My schedule was so packed. In the morning, I would look at my notes for the day. Here's what I had to do. Here's who I had to counsel. Here's where I had to be. And I didn't know if it was a big venue or a small venue. There'd just be a car downstairs to pick me up and drive me to the lecture and drive me back. And I would answer people's questions. I would sign books. Whatever they needed, I would provide in addition to the lecture. There was a lot of health food stores, Queen's Health Emporium, and there was a whole chain up out on Long Island, and good people. But here I'm in the middle of a health food store, which is packed. There's probably 200-300 people in the store. And sometimes there'd be no place to stand where people could see, so I'd have to get up on a chair, literally. I did this hundreds of times. I did thousands of lectures. But one night I was taken out to New Jersey, and I just asked the driver, where are we going? He said, New Jersey. Okay. And I'm writing, because that's what I do on an airplane or when I'm traveling on a train. I write. That's how I get so many articles written, books. And so I didn't pay attention how long it took me to get there. When I got out of the car, it was right at the back door. I go in the door, and I see that there's this huge stage. So this is where performances are done, rock concerts or plays, whatever. And then I look, and the audience is packed. It's huge. And I asked the guy, I said, how many people are here? He says, I don't know. It looks like thousands and thousands. One of the biggest venues in New Jersey. But there was a whole group of people who were over to my right who couldn't get in because there were no seats available. And I went over, and the manager was saying, we're sorry, we'll plan another venue for Gary to come out. People said, but we came clear down here. We drove down from New York City. So I said, well, I'm not going to use the stage. I'll lecture in front of the stage. That stage can hold about 500 people, I guess, or 300 people. That's what you got here. So everybody got in. Everybody had a seat. And still we were on time. And I walked out there, and I looked at the audience. And this is true of, unless they want me to lecture on a specific topic, everything I do is extemporaneous, meaning whatever I'm thinking, that's what comes out. So I'm looking at the audience, and I'm looking at all the people and all these smiles and high-fiving. It was it was wonderful, positive people, all ages, a lot of young people. And I said, why did you come here? What do you want to leave here with? And people, at least in the immediate vicinity, several hundred people were yelling out what they wanted to hear about. I want to hear about food combining. I want to hear about treatment for my arthritis. Everybody had something different. So I began. And here's what I did. I would do a topic for about 15 minutes. Then I would ask the people, now, I've just shared this. What are you going to take home and remember from this? And by emphasizing what was important in that 15 minutes, the highlights, it reinforced in people, Okay, now I know what's important. Otherwise, I spoke for 3 hours plus. Not a single person left the audience. We had a great time. I spent another 3 hours after just answering people's personal questions and signing books. But the whole evening, that's what I did, 15-minute talk. And then let's review what I just said. And here's what's important, the 3 or 4 points. And I got a lot of emails afterwards. In fact, some people came to the running and walking club, because I said we're starting to train for New York's marathon. And they told me that that was a whole new way. So now I say, read 15 minutes of a book. That's it. Then talk to yourself, or talk as if you're a teacher. Here's what we just read. Here's what's important in what we just read. By talking about what you read, you remember it. And that way, same way with the film. When I was showing a film called Overcoming the Dark Side, one of the most important films I've done, really helps a lot of people. And Anger, Taming the Beast Within, because a lot of people have unexpressed anger. And when they express it, they almost always weaponize their words, and it hurts people. And then they later say, gee, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell and scream at you and curse you. Yeah, you did. Mind you, you're selecting the words to throw at someone like a dagger. You want your words to make the person feel bad about themselves. That's not kind. That doesn't resolve anything. And if you're a dominant personality, if you're an alpha female or an alpha male, you know you're going to be able to control the situation, but you will never be able to control the outcome. Each person is going to experience that in their own way. So think before you say something and ask, what is the likely outcome? Will this resolve something? Will this heal something? Or will this only traumatize a person? Anyhow, when you're watching a film, stop it after 15 minutes. And then, as if you are the lecturer, talk about the highlights of what you learned from that 15 minutes. And then later, watch another 15 minutes. But this way, you really retain information, and that's important. That's the latest on health and healing. And every day I'm video streaming this. And we're putting it up on Rumble, because Rumble doesn't censor. All the other websites out there, the major ones, they censor everything I do, no matter how honest or accurate it is. Even opinions, they censor. I just did a big lecture for global research, celebrating an anniversary of a book come out that Professor Chavsky, who founded it back in, I think it was about 22 years ago. And I publish on there, Richard Gale and I, regularly. We have, I think somewhere around close to 90 articles, and it's really difficult to get published on there. And hence you get the best minds all over the world publishing important stuff you're not going to read or hear anywhere else, because they'd be censored. All the major platforms censoring. And now we know that because Twitter's been caught. There's no longer any question about it. They have the actual Twitter account showing censor this, censor that, deplatform. It's ghosting a person. In any case, Rumble doesn't do that. And my hardest hitting investigative reporting documentaries are up there. Also on, you can go to GaryNull.com, go to PRN.Live, and you'll see all the other sites. So we're now taking everything from YouTube, everything was on YouTube, and putting it on Rumble and putting on Odysee. So just remember, I can write an article and post it, and no one sees it. Why? Because they block it. And so now go to GaryNull.com, because it's always posted there under articles. Go to PRN.Live, it's posted there. But go to Rumble and go to Odysee. I'll bet you find articles and videos you didn't know existed. And every day we're posting these, health and nutrition, because they're not controversial and they're not going to be banned, but they empower people. And again, I choose to do information either as a classroom on the air, one topic, definitive, in a longer version, or multiple ones I think will make a difference. And I think before these are selected, who will benefit from this information? Is it difficult to find this therapy or whatever it is? Is it inexpensive? Can they afford it? What is the efficacy of it? What is the safety of it? All this I put into the equation prior to coming on and sharing what I'm doing now. But let's just say that you thought, I know the other day I was listening to Gary and he said that there's 22 nutrients that are good for the heart. And some that we thought were good for the heart, they're not good for the heart. They're not bad. They're good for other things. But I really want to have some of those. So you now can go to the newsletter, Gary Null newsletter, which comes out every morning, goes right to your computer. You open up your computer, there it is, John LaBelle. And he does this as a hobby and public service. John's one of the finest architects in America. I believe he was dean of the architecture school at Pratt Institute, where I taught, and he's taught for like 40 plus years. And he does this because he says it's needed. And he's right. We get thousands of responses. So sign up for the newsletter. That way you could go back and find what you were looking for and have it right in front of you where you can build your own health library. How about that? We're going to take a break and come back for the rest of our program. And every day I select issues that I feel either are not properly represented, not honestly and objectively, or are not represented at all. So I select these, I review them. We review them in studio with Rodney and Kyle and everyone. We want people to be empowered beyond what they're aware of. We want to open some of the door of life. Back in a moment. Please stay with us.
Are you tired of closed-minded programming? Well, look no further than PRN.Live, the home for progressive voices.